It's going live now. At, me working in the background doesn't change anything, right? As far as the back end.
No. Hey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm going to go ahead and do our countdown.
Okay.
Celeste, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Good morning, Gerald. How are you?
I am doing well. John, how you doing?
Hi, Gerald.
Hey, John.
Excellent.
Hi,
Well, we are live streaming, and today is the day of the pub day for a Symphony of Choices. I'm dressed up and ready. I'm really excited about our time together. And
I forgot to dress up.
I know, John. You know, it's all good though.
I'm on green.
Well, we're all looking good. We're all looking good. And I'm really happy this has all been recorded because I wanted to play a little snippet of the book just to give people a chance to kind of hear some of the content of it. And I'm also going to, while that's playing, I'm also going to share some endorsements. And I'm going to also share a link and a QR code where if you're interested, you can get a copy of the handout of the handbook. Which goes along with it. And it really teaches you a lot about project management, things that I've learned about project management. And it's really also tied to the book and will help you there, as well as just some other interesting information. So
and before you play it, what's the name of the book?
The name of the book is A Symphony of Choices.
Mm-hmm.
A Symphony of Choices. So I'm really excited about it. And again, let me go ahead and play it now. We can talk later about all the different stuff that's going on.
We'll have time, I responded. This would actually supplement my income, not take away from it. What experience do you have managing a symphony? You are a musician, not a business person. She had a point there, but I had not had time to process what I needed to do to make up for my shortfall of experience. Can we talk about this after the concert? I need to get back on the stage. Can you turn down the position? She asked. She wasn't letting it go. I suppose I could, but I really don't want to. I really need to get on stage, I pleaded. Laura crossed her arms and snapped. Fine. The most technical part of the concert was in the second half, and now I had my wife to contend with in addition to the pressure of figuring out what I needed to do as the orchestral manager. The orchestra members returned to their seats, just as they had at the beginning of the concert. They rosined their bows, warmed their instruments, and practiced tricky passages one last time before the performance. As the maestro took his position on the podium, a thought occurred to me. In college, I had taken some business classes, and there was a teacher, Carl Richardson, who had left an impression on me. In college, my focus had been on music performance and education, but I really got a lot out of his classes. He might be able to give me some advice on how I would manage the orchestra and all of the things I needed to accomplish this year. I made a mental note as the maestro raised his arms, ready to give the orchestra their downbeat. All eyes were locked on him, and everyone was holding their breath, including the audience. The baton in his hand reached upwards and then down, and the orchestra began to play. It was amazing how much control the conductor had over the orchestra. He decided the tempos and the volume. He gave people cues on when to come in. All of this was accomplished with his hands, arms, facial expressions, eye contact, and even his posture. He managed the music, and I thought as the music flowed before my eyes that I needed to be a conductor in my own right as the orchestra manager. At intermission.
Excellent. So there's just a snippet of the book, some of the endorsements I've received around the book, and the QR code for the free handout or the free workbook as well, and then the QR code that's up in the right-hand corner for if you're interested in the book. You can always just scan that with your phone, and that'll take you right over to Amazon, and you can check the book out from there. So I really also want to make sure I introduce my co-hosts who are with me here. And And so I want to start off with just introducing John Kramer and why I asked John to join. And here's the thing, the concept of being a musician and the concept of working together, it's about having a great team. It really is. And, I think I've been blessed to really have people I love to work with, I like to work with. And John and Celeste are just top notch in every single way. So let me tell you a little about John first, because I've been working with John a little bit longer than I've been working with Celeste, just to be honest. but Celeste is she's got a lot to bring to the table, and I'm super excited about our relationship and our time to work together. So John Kramer is an acknowledged publishing expert, and he worked with Jack Canfield on Chicken Soup and with Stephen Covey on The 7 Habits. He's written the book 1001 Ways to Market Your Book. He is a genius, an expert, and someone that I have brought on my team and has been my mentor and coach, and has just tremendously helped me to just with the ideas of the using in the book, and just just the cover, and just all the kind of insight and everything that I've gotten from it. Now with Celeste, let me tell you a little bit about Celeste Johnson. She's been a keynote speaker and a trainer with conference and seminars and private meetings across the U.S., but she's also spoken in Japan, Canada, Singapore, Dubai, South Africa, Kenya, and Ghana. And one of the most interesting things, I think, is that she shared the stage with Les Brown and help getting him booked, as well as speaking and singing. And she's an amazing singer as well. I've listened to a couple of her pieces, and she's an incredible musician. So guys, welcome to the live stream.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You are amazing as well. I know you shared a lot about John and I, and John is amazing. I love his credentials as well, but we're here celebrating you, who's also a musician, who really is at the core of that, right? As a basis, a professional musician, you've been out there on stages all over, and it seems now, which is wonderful about this book, how you have melded in your experience there, your understanding, your knowledge, your insight in the music arena, and then you blend it into the business world and how we can apply those principles. That's what I'm most excited about, the symphony of choices. Talk to us a little bit about how you did that combination and how you're weaving it so that it's not just a business book, but it's got a flavor of it, that music flavor in it. Share that with us a little bit.
Well, a long time ago, as I switched careers from in music and got into business, I started noticing a correlation between great musical performances, and great teams in the business world. And I just started noticing that it had the same vibe, it had the same feel. And as I began to kind of really dig into that, I started studying and realized that a lot of the same principles that we bring to the table as musicians to create a great performance, these guys were doing the same things. They weren't aware of it, right? They weren't aware of it, but they were doing the same things when it came to creating great projects and doing great work in the business world. So I was able to take all of that, and I know with complex topics, or topics that could at times honestly could be a little boring. Think of project portfolio management, or just, risk management, or different things. They can be sometimes boring topics to read about. It's kind of one of those books you have on the side of your bed before you go to sleep, and it helps you, it becomes your sleeping pill. Well, I wanted to write a book that would really get people jazzed and help them to get into the character and the essence of what that was all about. And so by using the principles of storytelling, and understanding that complex concepts can be taught through stories, and really people could feel it and really help them to grow that way. So I was really excited about doing that, and kind of taking both of those worlds and combining them together, and really adding something there, and just to make that happen. So
wow.
The thing is, story was really interesting. It wasn't boring, so I could absorb the more boring things, to me anyway, through the story, because the story was interesting. It wasn't pasted on or something like that. It was really a good story. And so you wanted to keep reading to find out what would happen. Would he be successful, et cetera, et cetera. And the you know, the makings of a good story. So your parable,
Yeah,
you know, helped me absorb the other things.
excellent,
Absolutely.
excellent.
Absolutely. So for those people that may not know, I know many of you have seen the advertisement or you're invited in different ways, but just as a reminder, this book, The Symphony of Choices, is a business parable. It takes what we've just been talking about, looking at the principles and the practices of bands and working together and applying them in a realistic, practical way to use that in a business sense. What are some of the takeaways, Gerald? What is the bottom line? When people read this book, they
Right.
read the story John talked about, but when they walk away, what's some of the things they can bank on?
You know, one of the things that they can bank on is that they're going to learn how to do a lot of difficult projects fast. And that's
Mhm.
one of the things that you'll see in the book that the main character, Jerry Hall, has to deal with. And you can watch as he learns how to do that. So you'll learn firsthand how to manage a lot of difficult projects fast. You'll also learn how to get better and not bitter. Because sometimes life, even in the corporate world, can be very difficult. And
Oh,
we can get, you know, hurt, or we can be disappointed. And the reason a lot of people leave companies is because, you know, it's not because of the company itself, it's because they've had a run-in, a relationship that went sour. And when you learn how to get better and not bitter, that becomes a major way of moving forward in life, and not only in your professional life but also in your business life. The next thing is how to
no, can I
grow
stop
through.
you for a minute? Can I stop you?
Sure.
Let's dive in a little bit on just
Okay.
what you shared already. When you said we can do a lot of things in a short period of time, give us an example. How does it work in the music world, and how do you see that working playing out in the business world? What does that mean? What do we learn how to do? How do we do that?
Well, think about a classical concert. You go to a classical concert, and there's probably maybe, you know, 7 or 8 pieces that they're working on, and these are
Mhm.
very complicated pieces. One, it's making sure that you have a team of experts,
Okay.
artists, and you also treat them as experts and artists. You allow them to bring their talent to the table. As the conductor, you're trying to create the big picture, right? You want to get the big picture out there, and you want your experts to really take ownership of that and
Mhm.
bring their flavor and bring their savviness to it. It really can help them oversee how to just become better at working together,
Mhm.
seeing each other, just being on the same page with each other. And in the business world, it's really the same thing. It's really getting together, having the leader of the organization respond more like a conductor, and more where he's treating the workers as artists, and helping them to grow in that way so that they can be their best. And it's really about how to select the right projects, and then how to work on those projects in a prioritized way, whether it's a musical performance or in the business world.
Okay, awesome. And then you went on and was difficult things. How do you deal with difficult? I guess when you have the different people, you have to make sure all of them, like you said, are on the top of their game, and if they are indeed, that they can execute it more expediently. Is that the
Exactly.
idea?
Well, when you're playing music and you're playing in a band, you're doing something that you love. That's why you start early in life, and you start doing something that you love. And you never see a band. I mean, or if you do see a band where there's attitudes, that band doesn't last very long, and the music doesn't sound very good. But so there's a lot that's going on around having a positive attitude, working together, really liking what you do, really honing your skill. And by doing that, you're creating an environment where everyone loves to be there, and they're going to bring their best selves to the environment. However, there will be times in the music world and in the business world where things don't go the way you want them to go. And
Mhm.
at that time, it's really you making a decision that you're going to get better and not bitter, that you're going to forgive and move forward and be benevolent. And it may seem like, okay, well, maybe I should get back at this person or whatever. And it's really, I heard it this way: it's really drinking poison that you think is hurting the other person, but it's really hurting yourself.
So
right?
is it, do you recommend, so I love that. I love what you're saying, get better, not bitter. So, okay, that sounds good. But if I'm in the heat of the moment in the workplace, I mean, what do I do? Is it changing my mindset? Is it changing my focus? I mean, how do I choose to be better instead of bitter? Do you
To
have
be
a real
quite honest, it takes a lot of time on your side of working on yourself. It takes a lot of time being mindful. It takes a lot of time, like even doing exercise or yoga, things to release stress in your own body. It takes looking at the long game and saying, what's the big picture for my life, and what is the big picture for all the relationships that I have, whether they turn around and like me or not. How do I want to be perceived? And by that, you can then step back because we all have the ability to make a decision and take an action between a stimulus, right? Something happens, we can respond. And if we focus our attention on, being practical, being benevolent, and preparing ourselves, kind of like what the airplane said, where they say, well, when you get on an airplane, put your mask on first, right? Put your mask on first, and then you're going to be able to help others. So when something happens, you have that character to be able to get better and not bitter.
awesome. John, you have a question you want?
I had a question. How does it in a symphony or something like that?
Sure.
Uh, Again, a symphony of choices. Most of the people really want to be in the orchestra.
Yeah.
In a business, you probably have at least 10 or 20% that would rather be doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
How do so as a conductor, you can orchestrate, the people are paying attention to you. But what if you've got unruly employees,
Yeah.
people that just don't want to be there?
Mm-hmm.
How do you engage them?
Well, John, it's interesting because when you're playing music as an amateur and you're doing it when you want to, yes, it's always fun. But when you're a professional and now you're doing it and you have to be there all the time, like it's a job, playing music can become a job. And so you have to work hard, even as musicians, to keep it fresh, to keep it alive, to stay engaged in the process. And so, how do you deal with people who are unruly? I think it really gets down to teamwork. I know in my life and in my business life, I've done things like team management or stand-up meetings where the team gets together. And one of the first things we'll do as a team is something called where it's like rules of engagement, and we'll talk in this rules of engagement concept, and we'll identify each like 4 or 5 things that are really valuable to us, are important to us when it comes to team building. And then we'll validate that and make sure that we're all on the same page, and we'll identify areas that we can all work together. So then we're starting off on the same page, right? With the same set of values. And if someone goes awry, it's the team gets in. Obviously, the leader has to get in and coach them, but we also can have the team members get in and really love bomb them, if you will, and really help them to kind of overcome that challenge or whatever they're working through, and really be there to serve them. And that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, I find I had the privilege as I was growing up to play in an orchestra, right? I played the violin and I sang in special groups and I sing with the choir. And what I have found, and I want to get your input on this, Gerald, is when I think about the sound, the connected sound, the combined sound of all of the instruments together is more beautiful that you can never do on your own, right? So you
Right.
can do your part, or as in the choir, you got the soprano, alto, tenor. I mean, I could sing my part, but when you put the harmonies together, it's like it's just bigger than you. And so when I think that way, it shifts my desire to contribute my best, right? So in a workplace, right? And that's what
Yeah,
I'm thinking. Does
exactly.
that make sense?
Exactly. And it really does. And it's really about the bigger picture. And that's the job of the conductor, is to paint the bigger picture, but it's also to create buy-in. And one of the best ways to create buy-in is that you give people a great vision, you set up the criteria or some values or guidelines that everybody's going to work with, and then you get them to give you ideas, and you help them to help you build the process, because people buy into what they create. And some of the greatest musicians, it's like playing jazz. You have the standard song that you're playing with, or that was written, and then you have the portions where everyone's kind of improvising, and it's them contributing their voice to the song. And every night they can play the same song, you'll hear a different song. You'll hear the same melody, but the interpretation and the improvisational parts will be very different. But everyone's going to be bought in because it's something that they're creating and bringing to the table. And you really have to engage people that way. And that's really what the book does, what Jerry does in the book, is that he has to engage the board, he has to engage the conductor, he has to engage his boss, he has to engage the musicians, and he has to figure out a lot of different things to help them operate more efficiently as an orchestra, how to handle their music, because renting music is really expensive. The board didn't understand all of what the musicians were bringing to the table when it came to their instruments. So all of those pieces have to be coordinated together.
Wow. It sounds like work. It sounds like business, right?
Exactly. And that's what it is. It really is. It really, really is work.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned mentorship. It says the subtitles, How Mentorship Taught a Manager. Can you touch a little bit more on the quote unquote mentorship role?
Sure. Well, in the life of a musician, mentorship and coaching is paramount. And here's why. Because as soon as you start off playing your instrument, you get a coach or you get a teacher. And as you're going through your levels of playing, from elementary to middle school to high school to college to professional, most professionals still have a coach or a mentor, because they want to get to that next level. If I've done 5 albums or 2 songs, I want to talk to the guy who's done 3 albums and 30 songs. How did he do that? What did he do? And so you're going to go out and reach out. And what I found is that mentorship is like the HOV lane to success.
Love it.
When you're driving and you're stuck in traffic, whether you're in Atlanta, Chicago, one of those big cities, right? And some of the smaller cities are now beginning to see congestion as well. Thinking of Las Vegas area and other areas, cities like that. The HOV lane makes it easy because it's 2 of you going together.
Yeah.
Right? If you're just by yourself, you're stuck in traffic with everyone else. And what could take you years to get to in your career, if you're in the HOV lane, could take you actually a couple of months, maybe even a couple of weeks, because if that other person has knowledge and insight that you don't have, and they can give you those insights, that's going to take you so much further. And that's one of the things that Jerry ran into. He realized early on that, hey, I've been playing music for 20 years, but I haven't really focused on the business part. I took some classes. So he reaches out to Dr. Carl Richardson, who was a professor of his, and they started meeting for coffee. And he would slowly roll out and teach him these concepts that he could digest and then go put into practice and come back and get feedback. And he'd give him some more. And so there's this back and forth, but you really do see the mentoring come to life. And it's written in such a way that the goal was for you to be sitting on the side of the table with Jerry, learning from Dr. Richards as you're reading the book.
That's awesome. I love that quote. Mentorship is like the HOV lane to success. You should talk about that. That's a good one. You can preach that one, right? John, you got any other questions for me?
I'm not sure, but who's this Jerry guy you keep talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so Jerry Hall is the main character in the story, and he's the bassist. As you can see behind me, is bassist, and really a lot of the lessons in the book are actually based on some real life situations. And so that's why we were able to, I worked with a really good fiction writer who's a really good storyteller, because both my first 2 books were nonfiction. And so again, I'm trying to practice what I'm preaching as far as finding mentors, building great teams, pulling things together. And so by us working together and him bringing his expertise, me bringing my expertise together, we're able to craft a story and get ideas. And he really helped me to craft it in a way that was compelling, that was entertaining, that was engaging, to really help people to grow. So that was really important to me.
Yeah. I think the marriage of the two, I've said this to you privately, but I think the marriage of the two between the music and the business is extraordinary, and it's just so helpful. And the intrigue of music and the excitement of business and putting it together. And I think it's really a wonderful way you've done that. Decision making, project management, workplace engagement, all these things that we all need. Whether you're the leader or the follower, understanding that is something that seems to be so powerful. It's a great book. See? I have to get my copy here. I have to get the copy here.
Excellent. As you can see, there's copies behind me, and I'm really honored to have John Wiley and Sons as my publisher. And again, it was a team effort. John and I worked together early on the book, and even the cover design, but also a lot of the concepts. Being able to talk to people in the publishing industry and the PR industry who've worked with me to say, here's what works, here's what doesn't work. And then also to make sure that the book was technically sound, that it's based on, the technical certification from Project Management Institute, that people who are trying to get that certification or trying to grow themselves, they may find it difficult to get their arms around all that information. But reading this book is going to help them get their arms around the information and really, take it to another level and really digest information and experience it and grow from that angle. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, stories help.
You have a comment. Michael is saying that congratulations, outstanding.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Michael. I greatly appreciate that. It's amazing, and I'm really excited for the book to come out. And I think we're going to be doing this later on this afternoon, and hopefully that on that one we'll be able to give away a couple of books with some of the folks that come on and be a part of it. But I'm really excited about what this book can do, more than just the accolade of writing a book, because birthing a book is one thing, but wanting to write a book that's going to make a difference in people's lives and help them grow, and knowing that it's based on scientific, it's based on neuroscience, and it's based on great storytelling. To me, that's more important than anything else.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate for those that may have joined halfway through and didn't get the very beginning. We're talking about Gerald J. Leonard's latest book, A Symphony of Choices: How Mentorship Taught a Manager Decision-Making, Project Management, etc. I love what's on the back of the book, Gerald. It says, learn how to make decisions in the face of increasingly complex and multifaceted challenges. I bet everyone that's listening can relate to that, right? That we're dealing with increasingly complex situations in our lives and the multifaceted challenges. We can all benefit from this, whether you're project management or not. You're right.
Exactly. It really is written for professionals, period. And it's an entertaining story. But the reality of it is that all of our lives are complex. All of us have either health challenges, relationship challenges, money challenges. Either I got too much coming in, or I got not enough coming in, or I don't have the planning for it. There's all these different things, and it's not just one a perfect story. And and so the book is written with the characters where you see that they're becoming successful and growing, but they have some challenges. Jerry has a challenging marriage. He has one of his kids he's having challenges with, and he's having to figure out how to get in there and work with them. He's having challenges with the conductor. He had challenges with the board. He experienced COVID in the book, and just a number of other things that came up in musicians that were supposed to do things that didn't do it, and he had to play and make sure everything is covered. So it really speaks to what we experience on a day-to-day basis as human beings. And that's really how I wrote the book. And plus my the person I was working with as we were putting this together, we binge watched Ted Lasso.
Oh my.
We did it. I was like, okay, we got to make sure each character has some flaws and that there's drama. This thing has to have drama in it. And I'll say
that's real world business.
It really is. It really is.
It was
And
real.
one of my favorite books that I've read is by a guy named Elliot Goldratt, The Goal. And
Mhm.
that was one of the biggest inspirations for me with this book, was because when I first listened to the audiobook, and well, another thing I'm really thankful for is John Wiley, book will become an audiobook. And so that will be coming out in about 4 to 6 weeks from now. Today is the release date, but that'll be coming out 4 to 6 weeks from now. And I can't wait to listen to the audiobook.
Yeah.
Because I know it's a dramatic story,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of turns and twists in there. But it's like sitting down listening to Ted Lasso or listening to The Goal. That was my goal for it.
Oh my gosh.
Vanessa says she can't wait to read it
Mhm.
Excellent,
because it
excellent.
sounds amazing.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, some of the people listening in, again, if any of you have a question, you can put it into the comments and we'll read it out. Or, Gerald, I don't know about StreamYard. Can you invite them on live here?
I don't know if I can, because I think I would have to send them a link, or my team can. But we can definitely address their questions as they come in, and comments as they come in. So
Okay.
Yeah, that would be the better way. Yeah. Yeah,
I've
you
just
get
been watching the comments flow in. That's really neat. It's great when people, get engaged, and that's
yeah,
part of the whole thing with your book is it's a story to engage people.
it really is, and that was one of the reasons I wrote it the way I wrote it, and I painstakingly, sought people's advice, and I sought people's advice who would tell me no, that this is not the right time to write. Literally, I had a few people on my team say, Gerald, this is not the right book to write. I had to then convince them and say, okay, if I write it, what's the best way to write it to really uh, make it where people would be compelled to want to read it, or even publishing editors would even want to think about it, because most publishing editors don't want to publish a business novel, because they think they don't always do that well. But I was able to, when John Wiley and their team read it, they fell in love with it, and they were like, this is an amazing book. And I only talked to two companies, and they were the second ones. And that's I know that doesn't normally happen that way, and I
well,
just have to give
It
myself
happens to good books.
yeah. You would know, John.
and it's what is interesting in very layman's terms, I think it's not a left brain or a right brain book, it's a combo. It really
Exactly.
is.
Yeah, I
Because
wrote it that way.
I know
Yeah.
when you read through it, you look through it and it's, you got the story that's the softer, which is really great. That's more right brain and it's more creative. But then you have all these charts in here. The left brain people will be happy to see that, right? And I think that that speaks to what you were talking about, from the idea of a business book versus a novel. The blend of it is the beauty of it. So all of you are going to totally enjoy
I
it.
must be a right brain person because I like the story.
Right, you are. Well, that would be more right.
That would be it. But one of the reasons at the end of each of the chapters of the story, I summarize some of the key points from Dr. Richardson, was for for people who are business, they're really business book readers, and they want to get to what's the nut and bolts of this book. And so they can skip to the back of each chapter and really get an understanding of what Dr. Richards is saying. And then at the end of the book, I summarize all of what Dr. Richards says, and then I give you a real live implementation plan based on everything that Jerry learned, because it's an implementation plan I use at a major law firm. So that's a real world plan that I use at a major law firm that's on the M Law 100 list, to implement their overall processes. So I know it works, and I know it will address real world scenarios, because it came from my database of project work that I've done over the years.
Yeah.
That's one of the really neat things about your book. It's really based on your experience, both as a musician
Yeah.
and as a business person.
Exactly. Because I've been doing this now for over 25 plus years. I probably have had over 30 clients. And these clients have been from major law firms to Pfizer to the DoD to National Archives and just a number of other large clients. And one of my last clients has been, a Department of Transportation that had a struggle with 14,000 projects on a $16 billion budget. Talk about drama. Right. And what was interesting with that project, and it related to this book, what was interesting with that project was that there was a company in the that came to do what I was doing about 2 years before, and they were excellent technically, but they didn't consider the culture of that organization. And their implementation failed, not because of the technology, but because they did not know how to roll it out with the culture. And what I've always talked to my teams about is it's like a performance. You have the people who are signing you up, they're like the front row, and they're sitting in the room with you. But in any good performance, you have people in the balcony or in the back, and they pay to come to the concert, and they want a good concert, and they want a good experience, and they want to feel like that they're there as well. And so, but in the business world, we don't always see it that way. We see the people that we're in the room with, and then we got these people out in the periphery that we really don't talk to, and we really don't see, and we really don't consider them. But from a performance standpoint, you have to consider the people in the back of the audience as well as in the front. So we had to make sure that people out in the periphery, those 1,000 project managers out in the periphery that needed to use our systems and processes would embrace them. And the only way they would embrace them was that they had to see the value for themselves, for them.
It could
So
be
that's
tough.
a lot of things that the book teaches as well.
It could be tough playing music and suddenly seeing people walk out of the audience.
Exactly. Like, what just happened? Okay, did I hit a bad note? Do I smell? What happened?
But that happens with business too.
Yeah,
Customers walk away from you.
exactly.
And sometimes you notice it, sometimes you don't.
Right. And they walk
But
away
it's
because
got to
they
have the same kind of
experience.
impact.
Right. It's how the culture is about feel, right? And it's the experience of the performance. It's the experience of the project. It's the experience of, yes, this tool did what I wanted it to do, but it made me feel bad, or I didn't like it, or I had all these different thoughts, or I wasn't treated properly. I wasn't respected. All of that goes into, being able to be successful and kind of grow through the challenges instead of just going through them.
Yeah, I think the bottom line in all of that, whether it's music or in business, it's about the people. The systems are important, the strategies are important, but it's the people that execute them and the culture you're talking about, because all of the best systems without people to engage it really falls flat, right?
Exactly.
And I know you mentioned about the people from a musician standpoint, the people that are sitting close to those in the back or the balcony. It's the same thing, the people that's in the upper level, the G suite versus the frontline people, right?
Exactly.
It's engaging with them and being mindful of them as you're making plans and then getting input from them. And so all of that really applies. I see that as a great application here. As a reminder for those of you that may be just joining us, the QR code, if you're interested in getting your book today, the QR code that's on the screen, you can scan that and go directly to be able to purchase it. I'd say take a picture of it and pass it on to a friend as well, right?
Excellent.
And have them purchase it as well. So you won't be sorry. It's a great book. I know we've been talking for a while. I'm not sure how long we're going to go, but I want to make sure that everybody knows.
I was going to say we probably should wrap it up because we have another afternoon session today. And I was planning on going around 30, 40 minutes. And I think we're right at that point in time. And so I am really thankful to have you guys as my co-hosts, John and Celeste. And for all those that have popped in and joined, I know we're streaming on a number of platforms. And this will be recorded. So you're able to, those who weren't able to attend can go and take a listen to it and get the ideas. But I'm really grateful. I'm really excited. I'm very honored to be able to share with you guys today that, the book is out, and it's such a great experience to do this and to see the difference that it's going to make. That's the most important
Celeste,
thing
could
to me.
you hold the book up again?
Yeah, it's
Your light
kind of bad. You
flashes
can't
off
really
of
see
it,
it.
and it's hard to see it.
Yeah, I
I
know.
got mine here too.
Ah, that's
There we
a
go.
good one.
Woo! New choices. That's the book. Got his little hand up there. It's a really nice cover.
Exactly. I have my whole team to thank for this book because again, like any great performance, it is a success is a team sport.
This is a team sport. Well,
It really is.
congratulations to you once again. I'm excited. This is just the beginning. The door is wide open. People, I just see this book going far into the future. So congratulations on day one. Look forward to day 100, 1000. And it was like, did you expect that people all over the world has this book? You all need to get your book now before they run out, right?
Exactly.
And they
All
could
right.
run out today.
Hey, that would be a good issue. That'd be a good problem. All right.
Exactly. Well, guys,
Publishers
thanks
love
so
that
much.
problem.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks so much. I'm very grateful for your support and for all those that have were able to join today, and for all of those that will listen to this in the future. I'm really thankful for that. And if your organization is interested, I'm going to leave up a QR code in getting in touch with Celeste and I about speaking opportunities, or with John. You can there's another QR code there that you can scan, and that'll take you to a page where you can schedule some time with me and with Celeste to talk about us speaking in your organization. So really look forward to chatting with you on that as well. So I'm going to leave that up on
that
this.
QR code?
That QR code is here.
Oh,
I just put so it covered all of us up.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the QR code if you're interested in requesting a speaking date. And let me remove this one. 1 second. Let me take this one down. There we go. So it's cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
yay.
Excellent. So if you're interested, check out the QR code there. And again, I'm so thankful and grateful for everything, guys, and your support. And Celeste and John, I'll see you guys later on this afternoon.
Right.
And for everyone else, I hope to see you around at different events and wherever. And I'll be happy to sign your book or share my passion for the concepts of music and business and how valuable those two things when they come together really are in helping us to all grow and be able to handle the challenges of life and to be our better selves.
All right.
All right.
Bye for now.
Bye for now, guys. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.